You are now listening to the Divorce Diaries podcast with your host, well, that's a secret. No names, ages, or any other identifying characteristics will be used as we protect the young and innocent. You'll be taken on a journey as one man considers getting a divorce or remaining married. The Divorce Diaries daily entries chronicle the decision-making processes in real time as they unfold day by day. He hopes to add a bit of clarity to his sometimes muddled mess of a marriage. Cheating, overspending, sex, sadness, and betrayal are the characteristics of this marriage. Is he making the right choice? Welcome to the Divorce Diaries. Entire seasons are released on Patreon weeks before anywhere else. At Divorce Diaries Podcast Patreon page. Link below in description. Now for today's episode.
Wow. This is a public service announcement to all of the Divorce Diaries listeners, people that are in relationships, have gotten out of relationships, are experiencing divorce, have gone through divorce, might find themselves getting divorced. I absolutely love the success that I am having and have had in therapy. And in this episode, I do want to record the keys to being successful in therapy. The biggest key, hang on a second. Let's back up. First, I wanted to talk about dating your therapist and how important that is. And what does it look like to actually date therapists? You have to find what works. And I guess I'm using the word date, even though I haven't dated yet. I've never dated. I've been married since I was very, very, very young, and I'm not divorced yet. So I do not know what it is like to date people. I do not know what it is like to be on the dating market, to be pursued on the dating market, to pursue people on the dating market. I have no idea how any of that shit works. But what I do understand is truth. And the truth that I understand is sorry, I hopped to the second thing. Let me just stay on the first. Dating therapists. You have to try your best to find a therapist that is going to be honest with you and expect honesty from you, because sorry, I had to take a drink. We all find ways to articulate ourselves as humans do. And what do I mean by this? When there is a conversation, an argument, a dispute between a husband and wife, man or woman, whatever, person A tells the story from their POV, point of view. Person B tells their story and their truth from their point of view. And then there's the truth. And the truth is likely going to come from the person that's sitting over in the corner that doesn't know either person and is just watching this thing unfold. What they're seeing and then what they tell people, that still most likely won't and can't be the truth, because there's probably no real way to eliminate all bias. But a person that's not involved, doesn't have any skin in the game, doesn't have a vested interest in the outcome for either party, that's where you're likely going to find something that closely resembles the truth. But neither person, when they're telling the story, will typically tell the truth. There'll be a person that really does try, and you can probably try and listen to everything that they say. But the truth is what you want to get down to. And dating your therapist to find out what they're going to do with what you're saying to them, that'll be hard, because you're first going to have to confront your own bias. You're going to have to say, like, hey, do I hate my husband and he is kind of a okay guy? Do I think my wife is cheating on me and she's really not? Our feelings, our emotions, our biases come in, and they come in like gangbusters, and they will rule the day of the story that you're trying to tell. If you feel like the person that you're telling a story about is a monster, you're likely going to use demonstrative words like, can you believe? Like, what the fuck does that have to do with what happened? What do you asking me, can I believe something? What the fuck does that have to do with you telling me what that person said to you? Can you believe he told me? Do you believe he came home and said, "Oh, how much TV have you watched today?" Can you believe that? Don't say that. Well, Tuesday, when my husband came home, he put down his attache case. He hung up his coat. He looked around and saw the toys everywhere. And he looked at me and he said, "Did you do anything today?" I was hurt. That would be a fair way to represent what he did. And then you say how you felt. But that story likely may be told. I'm slaving around all day. What does that mean, you're slaving in the house all day? I know what it means technically, but seriously, why did you say that statement? What bias are you trying to inspire in the person you're talking to? I have been slaving all day. No, the accurate way to say that, if that is true, based on what you mean, would be, you know, I was up at about 7. I put in my first load of laundry, and I go down and I pick up the play area that the kids were in. By the time I'm finished doing that and making the kids' lunches, I'm ready to put in my second load of laundry around 8:30 and put the clothes that are in the laundry in the dryer. And once I make that swap, I head up and I wake the kids up for school. And Jackson had an accident. I had to clean that up while I'm trying to get Molly situated for school. And Charlie fell asleep doing his diorama that's due today. So I kind of had to drop everything to help him with his diorama, help Jackson clean up the mess that he made. And so I wasn't able to make the kids breakfast. So finally, once I got them all in the car to drive them to school because they missed the bus because of Charlie's diorama needing to be finished by me so I could get him to school, I finally was able to get him to school. Everyone was late. Jackson was late 20 minutes. The other one was late 30 or whatever. I don't know, based on where the schools are. So I had all of that going on. So by 9:45 in the morning, I'm absolutely wiped. And I came back home only to find the house in a whirlwind. The playroom was messed up again because that's where Molly was doing all of her stuff while I was helping whatever I said the fake kid's name was with his diorama. And I had so much of a mess to clean up from the night before, and I had to strip Jackson's bed after his accident. So yeah, it took me till about 2 o'clock until I was finally able to sit down and watch a little bit of TV and reprieve before I picked the kids up from the bus stop in an hour and a half. And yes, did I fall asleep? Yeah. So by the time I wake up to my alarm clock and I rush down to the bus stop to grab the kids, I bring them back to the house and I'm still really tired and I'm making their snack and I'm preparing dinner. And as I'm doing that, the three of them mess up the house. Jackson's really happy that his bed is stripped and he's got his new Spider-Man sheets on the bed. Whatever I said the girl's name was, she's just sitting there watching TV and reprieving. And the other kid with the diorama, he's playing his video games. And I can't tell them no. I'm tired and I'm working on dinner before my husband gets home. And then he came home and he put down his attache case, looked around, saw the mess, saw me cooking, assumed that nothing had been done, I believe. And he said, "Is this what you've been doing all day, or did you do anything today?" I was so pissed. That would be the right way to tell that story, but that's not how it comes off. And what's dangerous in therapy, the stories, they don't come off that way because let's face it, your therapist only knows you and what the fuck you tell them. Your therapist does not know your husband or wife. They don't know your kids. And the only way that they're going to even be able to attempt to give you the best advice they could possibly give you is if you are being as honest as you can and you are trying your damnness not to lead the witness. If you are going to lead the witness, lead the therapist, or lead yourself, you are going to fuck up everything. So do not do it. And in dating the therapist, you have to find out if the therapist is going to say, wait, well, hold on. So you mean to tell me your husband just kind of came home, put down his bag, hung up his coat, and turned and looked at you and said, is this all you've done all day? Okay, let's peel that back. Does he normally do this? Well, yeah. Okay, if that's true, articulate that. But if it's not true, say actually, it happens like maybe like once or twice a year. I think it's usually when he's working on a big account at work. It's usually when he's his most irritable, and we kind of like talk less. He tends to be in his home office a lot more, and he's really stressed. So I kind of tend to leave him alone. Okay, that's a contextual way for you to describe what actually happens with your husband during these times. But if you are telling these stories about, oh my gosh, I've been slaving all day and my husband just comes home and he just like expects me to have dinner ready. No, actually what happens is your husband comes home, he washes his hands, he grabs a drink and he comes and he helps you in the kitchen and helps the food hit the table faster, or hey, what do you need me to do? And yeah, usually you feel a little bit bothered because you're like, I've got this. Just basically go away, but don't go away because I kind of want you to help me, but I don't know what I can tell you because I am a little frazzled and I have been doing shit all day. But nobody's communication is really that great in a marriage, typically. So it's always funny when I hear people say, "Oh no, that's the truth," and I'm like, you just led the witness. None of what you said was actually true. Everything you said was based on how you feel about something. And it will be very hard for a therapist to find a way to help you if you're coming from a place of your feelings and what you're doing and those things. It's just really difficult. So that's the first thing. Can you be truthful with your therapist? And is your therapist biased? Are they biased? You've got to figure that out. Is your therapist a woman that already has a preconceived notion that men are controlling? If that is your therapist's stance in principle, based on his or her experience, then you're likely going to get a specific kind of advice from your therapist. Now, that may not happen. Vet it out. See if there are, like my therapist, I'll be honest with you. My therapist is a woman, and she is very, very, very liberal, very woke, very progressive. She is literally the opposite of me. Now, with that being said, I have not thrown the baby out with the bathwater. She has been so understanding and strong and pragmatic and accepting, all of the qualities that come with a liberal, progressive, woke person are exactly the tools I need to help my conservative, mostly traditional ass. That's what I need. She is the yin to my yang. And in understanding that, can we have a political discussion? Fuck no. But here's the good part about her. We can talk about an issue and she listens. Now, is it because I'm paying her to listen to me? Maybe. Because I've seen her lose her shit several times talking about QAnon and the voting system, ballots, Trump derangement syndrome, you name it, she's got it. But that will and that strength help her, one, to sift through what I'm saying, and she's trying to search for the facts. Now, is she blinded by the facts that she's considering based on politics? Yes, she 100% is. She doesn't know what she's talking about because she's so charged up. She's so supercharged that she can't see. She's blinded. But with me, she's not supercharged. She's not blinded. She's supercharged in trying to help me solve a problem. She's trying to help me solve it. She's trying to help me get through it. She's like, no way. I see what this guy's going through. I see what this guy's dealing with. He's dealing with a total shit show of a marriage and a wife that is literally out to get and or hurt him. She doesn't care about anyone she leaves in her wake. He is literally in the grips of breaking away from a narcissist, and he doesn't really understand and know it. She was able to see things that I couldn't. She listens to the things that I say. She checks me and says, no, 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 that's wrong. You doing that will inspire this. Do not. And I'm like, okay, thank you. There's more back and forth with discord that we have. And that's how you probably select a therapist. After some dating, because I've dated and oh my gosh, there's some duds. Like, I didn't like it, so I didn't put a ring on it as far as my therapists were concerned. But now I'm like, wow, this is what it feels like. Me and my therapist, it's not always a comfortable relationship. We don't agree on some things. And even today, after my therapy session, I say to her, hey, you know what? I want to run something by you because I'm torn. I'm stuck right here. And you know what she doesn't do? Like I've talked to my wife in the past, soon to be ex, and I'm like, no, I'm torn by this. I feel like I'm in between a rock and a hard place, and I don't know what to do, or I feel like I'm being pulled in two different directions. And I think that both of them are equally as important, but I don't know which one to choose. How could you be torn by this? What do you mean? Da, 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 da. And it's something that's a little bit dismissive and whatever. But my therapist, she's like, well, I would say you handle this situation this way. You don't want to exclude anyone. It was about communication. Should I leave this person out of finding out about this information, or should I include them in it? And she's like, you don't want to exclude anyone. You want to keep everyone involved and tell everyone everything because they're going to feel like you excluded them or whatever. And I'm like, okay, but I have this thing that happened with my son. We are not seeing eye to eye. I do believe things could possibly get physical and violent between the two of us if we are in the same place, which is why I'm trying very hard to just be very gentle with him and say, hey, when you're feeling a little bit differently about your anger toward me, maybe we can get together, but not now. Let's just stay apart and all of those things. And she's like, she pushed back. She's like, nope. I think you still need to tell them because then you're treating, some of your children different from others because some people know. And I'm like, and I say this other thing and I say, well, there are a couple of other people that I have confided in that I feel would be able to help and assist. And she's like, do you trust their confidentiality? Yes, I do. And she's like, okay, well then run this question by them. My therapist that I'm dating, well, I'm committed to now, but that I was dating, her reactions to what I was saying, she challenged me, she pushed back, she sort of argued it. I sort of held my ground. That doesn't normally happen with the two of us, but there is a lot of back and forth because the thing is with a therapist, like I'm having a problem. I'm trying to solve that problem. She's trying to help me figure out the problem that I have and help me come to a solution that she feels might be the healthiest for me, all while not actually knowing anything other than what I'm telling her about the people in question, which is why I'm saying it's so paramount. It's such a big deal to tell the absolute truth as often and as frequently as you can, regardless of how unpopular it might be. You have to tell the truth. And my therapist will give me, let's say she is motivated well. Let's say she is my exact therapist for me. But if I told her a lie, or I told her a half truth, or I left out a very key part, she's going to give me great advice based on the lie I told her. And then I may take that lie and I go to my kids and I just make this thing and I do this thing. And I go to my wife and I do this thing and I do this thing. And then I can hide behind the shroud of, oh, my therapist, she really advised me to do that. And that's what I believe. And I think that's right. Bullshit. The therapist gave you that advice because you lied to them. You didn't tell them the truth. You were not forthcoming. You told them half the truth. So yes, they gave you that. So basically, they are telling you what you want to hear. You told them a lie to solicit a certain type of advice and wisdom. That's what you did. So the truth, being truthful, and dating your therapist. Dating, being prepared to, I'm not going to say give softball things, but it's going to be hard to break it off, just like a marriage. Like with me and my therapist, if things start going sideways right now, I have a level of vest. I'm vested in with my therapist now. I'm totally vested. And it's going to take a lot for us to break up. I mean, she's literally about to move out of the country right now. And she's like, nope, I'm going to set myself on a different platform. And nope, I'm not going to accept your insurance. And I'm like, holy shit, maybe I'll be paying more. That may happen. And I'm like, wait, I am invested. She is invested in me. And forget what she's invested in. I feel like I'm invested in her. And I'm like, wow, I'm invested in her. So I'm going to do whatever it takes to make it work. It's like we're fucking married now. She knows so much. I don't want to have to go back and unpack all of this shit with someone else. And this lady, she's not a spring chicken. My goodness. I don't need her to freaking leave the earth. I need her to go and have the most peaceful life that she can so she can be my therapist for the next 30 fucking years. Because Lord knows, I don't want to do this again. It's like I would be getting remarried. I've told her everything about my situation. And to be honest, before she goes or before something happens, I almost want to possibly even transition to another therapist in a weird way. I'm just making a joke here and being silly, but it's like the best thing would be for one professional to talk to another professional, almost like an arranged marriage. And she's like, I know the perfect therapist that will be great for you. I want to introduce you to this person, and I'm going to give them, if you're okay with it, I'm going to share with them all the stuff that's going on with you so you don't have such a learning curve to get them spun up on. Because God knows, man, she knows so much about me. And I look forward, very much so, to every single therapy session I have, because it's just like going into the gym and lifting weights or training for a marathon or whatever it is. There's so much there that strengthens me, that helps me with my resolve, that shows me that I'm not crazy. It validates me. Therapy can sometimes invalidate me. Therapy can build me up. Sometimes it breaks me the fuck down and gets me to go to places that I didn't think I should go or could go. And I would not be able to be such a proponent of therapy if I didn't understand that there are bad therapists, just like there are bad people. There are good therapists, like there are good people. There are therapists that are trying to do their best. There are therapists that are a little bit more, holistic. Or there are other therapists that are very by the book and pragmatic. It's difficult trying to find the right therapist. But you've got to date. You got to see if you can find that one that you can marry, at least for a little while. Your first therapist, your first marriage. And understand that everything has a season. I know with my therapist, this relationship will come to an end as well. I want to continue to get closer to her and attend her funeral one day. Or she mine, because I impacted her. I don't fucking know. All I know is every relationship is temporary, and dating your therapist is important. Probably one of the most important things, but what's more important, because I'm watching from the outside looking in, is my wife is being dishonest with her therapist and the therapist of our kids. I'm watching what the dishonesty does because it inspires a certain energy, mentality, and attitude and treatment of the therapist toward everyone that's involved, because they feel just like other people, other humans, they feel. So they may do what they feel is best because they're human. But humans can do really well if you arm them with the truth. So date your therapist and be nothing but truthful. Don't fuck with this. It's your life. It's definitely mine.
Wow, that was the Divorce Diaries podcast. The Daily Saga will continue tomorrow. The full season's episodes are on Patreon now. Subscribe for early access. Click the Patreon link in the description. Hopefully, these entries help our anonymous recorder as a form of his own personal therapy. That's his hope and his intention. Will these recordings of life's curveballs lead this family to the best resolution in the end? We'll keep listening. New episodes are released daily on all podcast players, but all episodes are available on Patreon at Divorce Diaries Podcast Patreon page. Until next time.